Hello, welcome to Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob, and it's the return of the Age of Sigmar Stats Centre for 2024, and I am very personally excited. We are about to go into, in my opinion, an incredibly exciting year for tournament or just generally any gaming when it involves Age of Sigmar. So Age of Sigmar is looking really good. We've got a couple of armies fresh out. We have Cities of Sigmar still in that kind of production meta, which is the thing I use to describe people still building and painting the armies. And then we've got Flesh Eater Courts hitting that meta as well, with a new book coming out, obviously, for all the death factions, all of the armies of renown that were released just before the kind of Christmas period, and then the armies of renown that are going to get released at the end of January, and then the 5th Chaos book with all of those armies of renown. So we still have a very interesting meta over the next few next few months, leading into Age of Sigmar 4. So I'm actually very excited about that. Let me just quickly drop some hot stats onto you from the last 6 months, though, where we had, and shout out to Rob, who helps me collate all this information. We had 158 events, so tournament events. So these are 2-day events. We don't cover 1-day events, although they're super valid. There are 3,833 different players, which means the tournament scene, at least for 2-day events, is around 4,000 Age of Sigmar players around the world, which is awesome, in my personal opinion, which is great. This is across 23 different countries, so that seems like a lot, which is cool. And we've had loads of people playing. We've had Philippines, China. We had an event in Mexico, I'm pretty certain. We had an event in Vietnam, as well as multiple events in like Austria, Germany, France, Sweden, Norway, England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, Ireland, like USA, obviously Canada, like so many places, which is cool. Australia. Of course, my Australian brethren. So pretty cool. And then we got some hot stats. Geir Videld and Owen Jackson, so Geir Videld from Norway and Owen Jackson from Team Wales, have both played the most games over the past 6 months of 2023 with 10 events apiece, which is pretty crazy numbers. And Tom Guan has won more games than anyone else in the past 6 months. Is Tom Guan from the USA, with 42 out of 45 games won over the last 6 months, which is cool. So shout out to those three, and all three of those people are just the nicest people. That's the other thing to say about Tournament Warhammer. If you wanted 3 people to represent Tournament Warhammer well, then Geir Videld and Owen Jackson couldn't be better community leaders and better people. I think they're both stunning individuals, which is great. They even got to play each other twice, at least once. I think they played each other at the LGT, which is a game I would have killed to watch. But then Tom Guan is also, Tom's different. I love him. So a community leader, I think he's excellent as well, but he's more of a community mascot than leader. I think that's the right way to describe it. And so we've had an incredibly healthy 6 months. We've had loads of books out. We've got loads of books just going into the production meta, and loads of some people have asked me what Tom plays. Tom's been playing OCR Bone Reapers, but he also played Soulblight Gravelords. He played lots of different armies. So yeah, as a recap, before we get into the stats for this year, the event results from this year, I'm going to do stats on another show. We've had loads of books and armies out. We've had loads of games. We've had a massive community of people playing those games, and those communities growing in different countries all around the world. So Age of Sigmar, as well as more books to come, and we're about to get a new edition. I don't think Age of Sigmar could have a healthier future than what we're currently seeing right now. So if you are an Age of Sigmar fan, I think you should feel very comfortable. And I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a very exciting year. We've got the Age of Sigmar World Championships coming up, or the Age of Sigmar Team World Championships coming up. We've got multiple massive events, like the Las Vegas Open is coming up. CanCon is coming up, which is going to be really big as well. We've got some team events in England and the USA, as well as other places around the world, leading up to the World Team Championships, which is going to be cool. So it's a big year for Age of Sigmar, maybe the biggest yet, and that's fun. Anyway, just after a hot Christmas period, people dusted off. We're only on the 8th of January, and people have dusted off their armies and have started to put them on the table, or painted up brand new armies. And so we're going to go and look at the event results from this weekend and talk about them now. But let me tell you, there's some amazing armies in there that's going to really surprise you. just want to say, top of the show, thank you to Warhammer Rob for putting all this information together. It's great. He's my wingman in this. Like, he's like the kind of the backup, and I'm the silly mouth dude. And I want to say thank you for liking, subscribing, commenting on the video. And if you could support us on Patreon, that'd be great. On the Honest Wargamer Patreon, that'd be cool. If you can't, that's fine. But it does help us create this content, which is wicked. Thanks very much. Let's get on with the events. The first event we're going to look at is the Big Bristol Brawl Winter GT. Organised by Sigmar's Pilgrim, which is a gaming group you can go and check out down in Bristol. And they honestly seem like 11 out of 10 human beings. The guest list was also excellent. So for UK events, you had some absolute treasures here. We got some pictures from the event. Here you can see Aaron, our winner, right at the front. Look at that, looking happy. Got a bunch of the other guys all being given out. This is Carl, I'm pretty certain, giving out all of these lovely awards, which is great. Trophies. All sorts of stuff, which is cool. So love that. Being held in an English industrial estate. This is pretty much how Warhammer happens. Either that or inside of a school church. Anyway, school hall. That's what I mean, or a church hall. Anyway, we had 39 players playing at this event, and our first place was Aaron Boyhan of the Crimson Drakes Wargaming Club, and he was running OCR Bone Reapers. He was running the Edge Case Mortis Praetorians. In the hierarchy of coolest to play for OBR, coolest, I'm not talking about most successful, obviously coolest is the Exploding Skeletons, the Fire Boys. Second place is Mortis Praetorians, and obviously in very last place it's Null Myriad. So that's the answer. So we've got Mortis Praetorians, and then things haven't changed that much. Archon the Black, Liege Kavalos, Mortison Ossifector, Morghast Archai, Mortis Guard, and Kavalos Death Riders, all in a one drop. The counter charge that you're able to get from being in Mortis Praetorians, obviously, is going to make those Archai who turn off command abilities and can get insane amounts of rend, and a lot of attack, or not a lot of attacks, but quite a few attacks at very high damage are going to punch through the scariest enemy units, which is quite interesting. Immortus Guard, obviously great for bodyguarding the Ossifector and Archon the Black. The Gothazar Cartouche is going to be adding +1 to wound, which is just an amazing buff on this army because +1 to hit's obviously easy to come by. So just a super cool list. That was in the 5-0 bracket. We do have one other 5-0, and that's Gloomspite Gitz. Gloomspite Gitz with King's Gitz. And then we have Fungoid Cave Shaman, a Madcap Shaman, Dankhold Trogboss, and Scragrot the Loon King. Now, even though Troggoths, so Glog's Mega Mob, have got a 40% win rate, King's Gitz, Gloomspite Gitz, are currently sat at a 58% win rate, or they were when we last did the stats. If you go on to honestwargamer.com and look at the stats that Rob and Tom put together, you can see what the stats look like for the last few months. I think it's the last 6 months cumulatively, and it's broken down into more. We're going to update those stats every month or so versus every week, and to give some sort of clarity about how things might be shifting around. But King's Gitz are slightly over the 55% win rate mark. So what I'm going on to say is that the sub-faction is doing really well, but normally Trogs are doing bad. So Fungoid Cave Shaman, Madcap Shaman, Dankhold Trogboss, and Scragrot. So then it's really exciting to see 2 units of 6 Rock Guts, 2 units of 3 Rock Guts, and 2 units of 3 Fell Waters doing really well as well. Because that's kind of like slamming those two stats together and then making a mockery of the whole system, which is perfect for the beginning of the year. We love that. I expect King's Gitz and also probably OBR to still take a little bit of nerf in a battle scroll update, but here we are. I think that's great, and Jamie Denny should be super proud of himself. In our 4-1 bracket, things are about to get gnarly. Get ready for some incredible stuff. In the 4-1 bracket, you got Matt Goudsborough, what a babe, David Towsey, award-winning author David Towsey. Please do look up his book online. It's an excellent book. It's a great little read. Joel Smith, Team Andy Joyce, the Stormcast Eternals list, and I promise you, you are not ready for what is inside that list. Then Damien Rees on another 4-1. I think it's his second 4-1 in a row with his Soulblight Gravelords. This is excellent. Damien is Natty's dad, and he's kicking Natty's ass, which is great. I love that. And it's really nice to see Damien's been taking his son around, and now he's like 13 now. He's been playing incredibly well at events, and Damien's been taking him around to loads of events and has been just having to play some of the better players in the world, and his level of play has improved drastically. So I love seeing that as well. Anyway, let's talk about the list. The Matt G, the shuffler himself, running. I like to think that Matt's in his jazz stage of wargaming. Is he 5-0ing all the time? No. But is he just running lists that you're not seeing other places? Yes, and he's having a great time. Lumineth Realmlord Zytrek. He's running Ionis, Cryptborn, Archmage Teclis, the Sinari Cathala, Light of Altharion. Then 10 Wardens, 5 Dawn Riders, and 5 Blade Lords, with the Umbral Spell Portal and the Pendulum. I think it's fair to say that always Teclis Syrian White Light is just the most outrageous, probably the most outrageous damage in Age of Sigmar. I'd probably have to think that through a little bit. Obviously, Gotrek can bring some hurt and some other stuff, but it's probably one of the most insanely crazy things you can think of if you think about it in wargaming. Just AoE 18-inch, everyone takes some mortal wounds is truly mental. And then obviously being able to back that up with no healing from Ionis, which is very powerful as well, and all the other like prayers and abilities Ionis is going to bring to the table. Then you got the Cathalar, being able to cast a bunch of spells, and Light of Altharion as your great melee piece, either countercharging or just kind of pushing the enemy away, which is good. Wardens for a front line, Dawn Riders for tactics, Blade Lords for tactics, and then the Umbral Spell Portal, obviously for Syrian White Light, and the Pendulum for the additional mortal wounds. In a 2-drop, he's going to do some great stuff. So then, award-winning author David Towsey with his OCR Bone Reapers, No Myriad. He's got Mortis and Ossifector, a Liege Cavalos, and Ark in the Black, 3 Mortis Guard, 5 Death Riders, and 2 units of 4 Morghast Archai. Shout out, obviously, Tom Guan for kind of leading the way on these Morghast Archai last year. Although David was also running them, I think. I remember him playing at an event here middle of summer last year, and he was already on the Archai hype. But this is very cool. They're a really elite unit to put on the tabletop. They're very fun. I don't expect them to get nerfed in Bone Reapers, and they're doing so well. You're not ready for this. You're not ready for the genius that is Joel Smith of Team Andy Joyce. He's running Stormcast Eternals, Anvils of Heldenhammer. Okay, he's playing Signs of the Storm, so he's not playing the Cities version. And then he's got a Celestin Prime that's going to do AoE Mortal Wounds, as you know. And he has a Knight Arcanum with the Master of Magic and Hoarfrost, which is pretty interesting. And then a Knight Encanter with Blizzard. Then he's got Gotrek. And so far, a pretty well-constructed list, obviously. The Prime is great for dropping down and nuking stuff out the back of the board. This means you clump up, which is exactly what Gotrek wants to do, to go into the middle and start, just attacking everything he can. Then he's got great power in his magic, being able to reroll casts or reroll unbinds even if he wants to. He's got Hoarfrost and Blizzard. Then he's got 3 units of 5 Sequitors as his battle line, which are not bad, but they're 110 points, so they're not meant to be good either. Then he's just out here with 21 Castigators. Now, this isn't the first time we've seen this in Age of Sigmar 3. There was someone in America last year who won an event with 80 Castigators. So this isn't the first Castigator list that's done well. But now that there's more than one in the wild, in different places in the world, it's kind of mind-blowing. 90 points for 3, 2 wounds each, 4 up save, 18 in shooting attack, which is D3 shots each. So from unit 6, you should statistically obviously be getting about 12 shots, which you can either add +1 to hit with their ability. They have an inbuilt ability to do that. Or you can make them Ren 2 as opposed to Ren 1. Feels pretty good. Feels pretty good when you start talking about it's 12, it's 24, it's 36, it's 42 shots, potentially all Ren 2 at range, already 3s and 3s. And then you go and throw Gotrek at them, or use Gotrek to kind of protect the Castigators, and then you go and throw the Celestin Prime at them, push them back. Now, he did go 4-1, but it doesn't matter because he's gone 5-0 in our hearts. Congratulations to Joel Smith. And then Damien, who I talked about doing really well, was running around with Soulblight Gravelords, Legion of the Night. Obviously, he's got the teleporting characters. He's got Manfred, Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, another Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon. So he has 3 large monsters. Obviously, the Hunger is pretty close to broken, which is the ability to heal 6 wounds at the end of each combat. is pretty. I'd say it's probably broken. I mean, Damien literally played 6 games at the arena like 2 weeks ago here, maybe even a week and a half ago, and we had a long conversation about this, and he was like, Rob, it's just silly. I have so much sustain. I'm able to keep in the game so much. Maybe it'll get changed in the FAQ. I wouldn't go out and buy yourself 3 dragons today, but if that does survive, if it does survive the FAQ, then I think that, you know, if you would like a really fun army to play over the next, 6 months as Age of Sigmar 4 wraps up, you can't go wrong with Manfred, the dickhead himself, and then 2 Vampire Lord on zombie dragons and some direwolves and death rattles. That's a pretty fun army to play. Now, lastly, now we don't normally do this, but I'm just going to shout out a 3-2, Greg Shelton. Number 1, because Greg's great, and we love Greg a lot. But Greg, he went 3-2, so I'm not saying this list has got legs. It's actually got a lot of wheels, but it's very cool. He's running Cities of Sigmar, Tempest Eye, and he's running Pontifex Sinestra, an Alchemite Warforger, and another Alchemite Warforger. So he's going for the kind of like triple combo that you're going to see in Cities a lot, with a 5-up ward from Sinestra and her aura for a 5-up ward for everyone that's a human, which will affect all of the units in this list. Then the Alchemite Warforger for +1 to save on all these units, which is great. And then the Alchemite Warforger that any hits of a 6 do a mortal wound in addition, which is just really good. And then, so that's the kind of combo. Then he's rocked that in with a Steam Tank Commander, and then 5 Steam Tanks. And then the Free Guild Command Corps, because the Free Guild Command Corps is just amazing. Steal CP, heal models, heal a lot. It's really dumb. So you got +1 save and all these 2-up armor save stuff. They've got 5-up ward saves. They can heal up to 3d3. He's run 6 tanks. 5 tanks as battle line. A 6th tank as his Steam Tank Commander. Now, just 11 out of 10. That's great. Anyway, the Bristol Brawl seems like a great place, a great group of people. It's run by the Sigmar's Pilgrims, which is a gaming club down there. You should go check them out if you can. You'll probably find them on Twitter and other places. Just do some Googling. So if you're around that area, go meet those guys and play some games, and girls, and and all that other stuff, and have some fun. I hope you all had a great time. The next event we have is the Forge GT, organized in the USA, organized by Joe Cryer himself, taking place in Minnesota. Old Minnesota, happening in Chaska, Minnesota at the Forge, which seems to be a great gaming venue on the strip, or on a strip mall, and there's some amazing additional locations. Good parking, it looks like a lovely little scenic walk out into the wilds if you fancy it. But, ladies and gentlemen, there's a Papa John's and a Quiznos next door if you fancy it. So that feels like that's already a great start to a wicked event if you need it. So get yourself over to the Forge in Minnesota, Chaska, Minnesota. Anyway, organized by Joe Cryer. So if we go and look at the placings, we've only got one person in the 4 and a draw category, so no one in the 5-0. And that's shout out to Matt Casper of the Knights of Brotonia with his Gloomspike Gitz army. He's running King's Gitz again, Gloomspike Gitz, Dankold Trogboss, Scragrot, and Madcap Shaman, and then 2 units of 20 Moonclan Shooters, 2 units of Boingrot Bounders, 2 units of 6 Rotguts. The Boingrot Bounders are units of 5, sorry, I should have said. 2 units of 6 Rotgut Trogos, and a unit of Loon Smasher Fanatics. Now, the Fanatics are actually super interesting because they've just become so in vogue over the past 6 months. I think, Gitz has been such a popular book and such an effective book, but I think it would be unfair to say that haven't been multiple different builds with multiple different win conditions over the course of its less than a year life cycle, which is pretty interesting. We're coming up to about a year. And there are some absolutely big hitters. Rotgut Trogos near the moon, so on a 3-up, 5-up ward straight away, are just absolutely brilliant. Boingrots are probably close to one of the best cavalry units you can get in the game, just for sheer kind of footprint, output, and those sorts of things, which is why you see big bricks of 15 being played. Moonclan Shooters, obviously also really excellent because inside of them are Fanatics. So it's kind of the perfect army to grab objectives because they've got a lot of bodies thanks to the Moonclan. And then if you do try to start getting rid of those, you get hit out with Fanatics. And even if you were to wipe the unit out, there's no real way to deal with Fanatics until the time you can deal with them. And that becomes a real problem. And I think that's why they're becoming so in vogue. They're very, very good. They're looking at the 4-1s. We've got a veritable who's who, but also some great little armies. Paul Wilms bringing out one of the worst performing factions in Nighthaunt to a 4-1 is excellent. Patrick Ottolino with his Lumineth Realm Lords also doing some great work with not an underperforming faction. Joe Cryer with his Disciples of Zinch, really mixing up, very unique list. And then Corey Anderson with his Slaves to Darkness, Host the Ever-Chosen. Not necessarily something we haven't seen before, but a little bit of a twist, a little bit of salt and pepper on top of what is already a spicy potato. I don't know what that was, I'm sorry. And then Rourke Engelhart with his Reapers of Khorne. Rourke Engelhart, while not running his Reapers of Khorne army at Warhammer events, is obviously making the most badass beat poetry that you can see in the Lower East Side. So do go check out his beat poetry. It's excellent. Okay, so let's go talk about the list, shall we? Our Nighthaunt list was Emerald Host. It's got Alrark the Drowner, a Dreadblade Harrow, 2 Spirit Torments, and a Cruel Gas Cruciator. Then it's got 10 units of 10 Chain Rasps. 8 units of 10 Chain Rasps. Then 2 units of 10 Green Gas Reapers, a unit of Chain Gas, and a unit of Bladegeist Revenants. So pretty interesting kind of list here. Like, obviously, you get all of the bonuses in Nighthaunt Army from charging. Retreat and charging is also army-wide, which is also good. And every time you charge into a unit, you debuff it. So having multiple units to do so, as well as multiple units that are just generally difficult to deal with because of their ethereal save, is nice. A bit of healing to bring those models back in as well. And then a couple of like larger slam units, but nothing that maybe could take down a Mega Gargant. I don't know. Like, enough Chain Rasps, there's enough attacks as well. In conjunction with all of the debuffs, you could do some really good work. Alrak's just fairly legit in the combat as well, bopping around and smacking some heads. So that's really fun. It's been a fun, interesting list. The Lumineth Realm Lords list is from Zytrex, so obviously +1 to cast. It's got a Caligrave, a Cathalar, Teclis, and then the Light of Altharion. So very much the combo we talked about earlier. Then 10 Wardens, 2 lots of 10 Wardens, a unit of 20 Blade Lords, and then a unit of Wind Chargers with a Spell Portal and the Pendulum. So this is very similar to what we talked about with the LRL list previously. You get all that output from those 2 different units in Teclis and Altharion, and then all the other units are just grabbing objectives, doing battle tactics, and just bopping around the board, doing what they need to. Big unit of Blade Lords, maybe take out some major threats. Our Zinch list is super interesting. Joe just out here, just changing the game. He's running Host Arcanum, and he's got a Magister, an Ogroid Thaumaturge, Quairos Fate Reaver, Kairos Fate Reaver, Kairos. Still not getting it wrong. Ephelim the Unknowable, and then a Fate Skimmer in the list, which is crazy. And then 2 units of 10 Carrick Acolytes, a unit of Ungor, and then a unit of Jade Obelisk, a unit of 20. And so that's from the Warcry Warband unit of 20 there, and then a Chaos War Shrine with heal, which is crazy because I really did think you'd see Curse on the Chaos War Shrine. Burning Sigil Zinch, Eighth of Void Pendulum, and Tome of Eyes. So he's got those 3 endless spells. Now, this is just a list that's going to be doing stuff I didn't expect, and so I'm going to talk to Joe about it hopefully in the future and talk through this because it's very, very cool and fun to see, and very, very Joe. Our Slaves to Darkness list is Host the Ever-Chosen. And so it's got a Chaos Sorcerer Lord and then a Chaos Sorcerer Lord as well, but one's a General with Master of Magic, and the other one has got Blizzard, obviously. Then we have a unit of Chaos chosen with the Mark of Sinesh. So this is a unit of 10. They're going to get +1 to run and charge, and they do have the Banner of Screaming Flesh, which means they're also going to get +1 on their attacks. In conjunction with the command ability for run and charge, this slower unit is going to be able to go really fast and do a lot of damage, which is quite fun. Then a unit of Varangard, a unit of 6, and they've got the Mark of Khorne. Don't forget Pile and Attack twice, obviously crazy amount of damage. Then a unit of Chaos Warriors of Nurgle, unit of 20 of those, with the Eroding Icon, so -1 to wound, ignore rend of 1, and then a unit of 6 Ogroid Therodons, all in a 1-drop. And again, they've got the Mark of Khorne. And this is great. This is just like an absolute flank and spank. You just put 20 Chaos Warriors forward and you're like, do you want to deal with that? And they're like, not really. And then the 3 units that can countercharge you in the Varangard, the Chosen, and also the Therodons are going to just lift so many units. This is a great little army. I would say this is probably like I'd say close to cookie cutter list that I would give a bunch of new players to play with. I think this would be a great like beginner's army if you're looking to play Age of Sigmar. Maybe my list of the week actually. Not because of any other reason than that. You know, start of 2024, people want to get a new army. That's a great army to play. Lastly, Rourke Engelhart put down the beat poetry and picked up his Reapers of Vengeance army. He's got Scarbrand, Bloodthirster of Incensant Rage, a Bloodmaster, a Bloodthirster of Feta Fury, the Slaughter Priest, Claws of Karnak, some Fleshhounds, a couple of Blood Reaver units, Furies, and Garrex Reavers, and then the Hex score, just Skulls. So, Khorne is cookie cutter in how it works, at least, because you have the Bloodthirster of Feta Fury with Firebrand and Argath, the King of Blades. So you've got a priest, but you also turn off ward saves, and then you just throw in either a Bloodthirster and Central Rage or Scarbrand and just slam home the damage, generate Blood Tithe as fast as possible, Murderlust into units so that they can't move out of units, throw some Brass Meteors at some of the more valuable units when you get the chance, do some late game summoning, and you really can do a lot of summoning from Khorne. Khorne has got some amazing ramp potential, because even when it loses units, you know, it's units of Fleshhounds, it's units of Claws of Karnak, when it loses those units, it's just generating the ability to interact in the game later. It's very, very effective. And then those big hitters are proper big hitters. So just a great list. Hope everyone had a great time at the event. Let's look at the next one. Our next event is the VTC over in Austria. So middle of Europe, the VTC event. We had 26 players playing, and Sebastian Kipling organised the event. Congratulations to him. We only had one person in our 5-0 bracket, and that was Stefan Gmür of Team Bob. He's running Slaves to Darkness, host of the Everchosen, and he had a Chaos Lord, a Chaos Sorcerer Lord, and then Be'lakor. Then he had 2 units of 20 Chaos Warriors with the Mark of Nurgle. And we did say this when the Battle Scroll was dropping last year. We said they made Chaos Warriors way too cheap. This is a lot of wounds. This is 80 wounds that are -1 to be wounded. One of them is also going to be ignoring Rend 1. Then there's a unit of 10 Chaos Chosen in the list as well, with Sinesh and the Banner of Screaming Flesh coming in, doing all of those, getting the mobility and the attack profile. So they're going to be able to potentially get run and charge from the Chaos Lord at the top, +1 to charge and all those other things. And then we've got like a Blizzard Wizard Be'lakor. So you're going to shut down your big threats, going to tie you up with Chaos Warriors, going to charge you with Chaos Chosen, and it's going to smack your face off. Great list. In the 4-1 bracket, we've got Rainer Brandstetter and Andreas Schwartz. Now, Rainer was running Slaves to Darkness and Knights to the Empty Throne, Exalted Hero of Chaos, Be'lakor, and a Chaos Sorcerer Lord. And he was running 2 units of 6 Varangard, both with the Mark of Khorne, and then a unit of Chaos Knights and a unit of Chaos Furies. So again, just all of the output, all of the time. Nothing like these units are going to be running around though, so not as many bodies for holding objectives. You know, though Varangard are worth 2 per objective, but there's still not a lot. So it's only going to be 12 objective control versus even just a little unit of 10 dudes grabbing an objective. But the Varangard obviously will wipe out those bigger units anyway. Then our LRL list that went 4-1 with Zytrek, Sinari Cathlar, Caligrave, and again, the Teclis Eltharion combo with, in this case, the Pendulum, the Spell Portal, and they've added the Maelstrom into the list. Then we've got some just Dawn Riders, Blade Lords, and Wardens. So it looks like we're getting a little bit of cookie cutter here from LRL, and we're seeing an uptick in LRL as well. Teclis, Eltharion, obviously the double combo of Mortal Wounds from Searing White Light from Spell Portal, and in addition, the Pendulum. And then you've just got other stuff for flavor, which is interesting. So a little bit of a cookie cutter. Looks like a great event. I want to shout out Stefan again. He's one of the people who's in the chat a lot of the time and makes me feel happy to know that someone from the chat is just absolutely out there crushing it, which is great news. So loads of love to him. Absolutely wonderful. Our next event is Death and Destruction GT at Bazooka Games. There's 14 players playing in the USA, and this event was organized by Dan Gushwind. Shout out to Dan. I hope you had a great time with 14 players. Now, our first place was Michael Schlegelmilch of the King Cheese Wargaming. Well done to him. Running Stormcast Eternals. He didn't go 5-0. He's got a 4 in a draw. Let's look at the list. He's running Stormcast Eternals Hammers of Sigmar with a Knight Incanter, and another Knight Incanter. One of them has the Mirror Shield and the Azurite Halo. The other has Blizzard. And then a unit of Ionis Cryptborn, again, featuring great prayers, ability to shut down enemy healing. Excellent. The battle line is 3 units of 5 classic AOS 1 chunky libs. 100 points each, 5 models, 2 wounds apiece, just doing your battle line, doing your jobs. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You think I'm finished? 10. Let's round it up to an 11 units of 3 castigators. 11 units of 3 castigators. You thought castigators were only going to feature once every 6 months on the channel. You weren't expecting it twice in one day. That's right, 33 castigators out here shooting their shot. Okay, 33 castigators means an average of 66 shots at 18 inches, 3s and 3s, Ren 1. Could be Ren 2. Right? Let's go. Okay, then the Dias Arcanum and the Prismatic Palisade. This has to be one of the most insane lists ever. What an amazing job. Well done on going 4 and a draw. In the 4-1 bracket, we have Josh Anderson, and he's got a 9-net Deepkin army with played in Morphan, and it's not Sharks. So an Achillean King, a Thrallmaster, 2 Soul Renders, and another Thrallmaster with 2 units of, 1 unit of 30 Thralls, 1 unit of 20 Thralls, 1 unit of, and then 2 units of 10 Reavers with the Achillean Leviathan. Now, we've seen this rise in popularity for the Thrall meta recently, which I think has been very, very interesting. In conjunction with the Thrall Masters, I think we definitely could revisit this in the future. Being able to bring models back, obviously with the Soul Renders for some healing. Incredibly difficult to first turn alpha because you get cover plus the buff from the Leviathan for +2 to save before you do all-out defense, and then you're going to get slapped back by a lot of attacks from Thralls, Reavers for screens and for popping other little units as well, Lotan for -1 to wound or +1 to wound, one of those two, I forget which one it is, which is good. And then you've obviously always got the Slap King, who's just doing some absolutely amazing stuff. So hope everyone had a great time at the event, and loads of... I made a huge mistake. There was also another 4-1. My apologies to Christopher Johnson with his Cities of Sigmar list. He was running Hallowheart. So Alchemite Warforger, Free Guild Marshal and Relic Envoy, another Warforger, a Free Guild Cavalier Marshal, and then Pontifex Sinestra. Obviously, I think there's going to be a real conversation for Cities of Sigmar players in having too many characters so you can dish out the orders while also getting enough of an army. But thankfully, right now, Cities of Sigmar is cheap. Will it stay cheap? It's a great question. Then 2 units of 10 Free Guild Steel Helms, a unit of 30 Fusiliers, a unit of Wildercorp Hunters, and then 2 units of Free Guild Cavaliers, and then the Command Corps. And I would say this is close to a cookie cutter army. You could very easily change up the unit of Free Guild Cavaliers for another unit of Fusiliers as well. But I think having the ability to shoot and do battle tactics from the Fusiliers while going out there and kill stuff, clear objectives, and do some other things with the Cavaliers adds a lot of mobility to what could very comfortably be a castle army, which is fun. Then you've obviously got +3 to charge, thanks to the Cavalier Marshal. Then you've got Always Strikes First in conjunction with them on counter charges, which works. Counter charge works incredibly well on the Cavaliers. You got some early game trading from the Wildercorp's Hunts, +1 to hit, +1 save, mortal wounds on 6s, 5-up ward save aura, being able to use the Free Guild Marshal to make it so you count for more on objectives. Excellent list. This is very, very, I would argue, close to cookie cutter for Cities of Sigmar, or what Cities of Sigmar should be looking to play around. If you want to go down the human route, there's obviously elf builds which are on the way. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to see in the future, but this is very good. Well done. Our last event, and by no means least, is our event in the Netherlands called the Threshold Invitational 3, being held in the Netherlands, and it's all on the Pun Pun. The actual Pun Pun. And the event was won by Mr. Matt Mallow himself, so Matt Davies. And he was running Cities of Sigmar, and again, Hallowheart as a sub-faction. So this might become on meta, as they say. 2 Alchemite Warforgers and Pontifex Sinestra for the combo of +1 save, 5-up ward, and mortals on 6s to hit in AoE. I think you're going to see that combo a lot. Steam Tank Commander, mixing it up a little bit. and the Fusel Major on Ogre Warhawk being very different to what I would expect to see in a list. Then 30 free gold Fusiliers, 10 free gold Steel Helms, and a Steam Tank in there as well. The Steam Tank Commander making the Steam Tank be battle line. You have 2 screening units. I think these are going to be used a lot like we would see a Bastillodon used in Seraphon armies previously, where they're just a 2-up armor save, 12 wound unit in the middle of the board. If they're near Zenestra, they're going to be having a 5-up ward save near the Warforger. They're having +1 save. So now you've got ignoring Rend 1 with a 5-up ward before you even do all out defenses or Mystic Shield. And then 2 units of free guild command core, and of course not only are they able to steal command points, but they also have the ability to heal 3d3 wounds to a unit. So you can either return those to a unit of, let's say, Fusiliers, and you can do that twice. So right now you could do 63 returned 6 D3 models returned to a unit of free guild Fusiliers even if they're in combat, but you only do it in your hero phase, or you could put those wounds back onto Steam Tanks, which is also very, very good. So just very, very excellent stuff. Unsurprising from Matt, putting all those combos together. And I think what you see here is literally a castle wall moving forward into the mid-board with the Steam Tanks being the wall, which is very fun, very funny, excellent little stuff. Shout out to Matt. The commander is Dum Dum. So put it on the pun. Yeah, I think Matt's created a really fun and interesting list there, although you do expect the command core to get FAQ'd. Anyway, in the 4-1 category, we've got ourselves, where is he? Come on. I've lost the name, sorry about that. So Hugo Rieken. Hugo was running Khorne, Reapers of Vengeance, with a Bloodmaster Herald of Khorne, Scar Blood Wrath, a Slaughter Priest, Scarbrand, a Bloodthirster, and Fetid Fury, and you do not need me to tell you what he is equipped with, and then Thedrus Skullscryer, then Claws of Karnat, Fleshhounds, Blood Reavers, Marjor's Fiends, Mighty Skull Crushers, Godsworn Hunter, and Furies. And honestly, I think I honestly can just stop at Bloodthirster and Fetid Fury and Scarbrand. Everything else is just adding technical quantity into a Khorne army, but then it's generating Blood Tithe, it's Murder Lusting, it's doing damage. That's it. There's so much more. It's easily one of the most techie armies you can play. I think it's got so many legs, and then it does just have, it's constantly doing little tricks and getting in your way and trading on objectives, and all you constantly wary of Scarbrand and all that other damage just coming in one big knockout punch. It's very, very, very good, which is cool. And I just want to shout out, it wasn't technically 4-1, but it's close enough. Tom Medgens with his Blades of Khorne army as well, Reapers of Vengeance, Wrath of Khorne, Bloodthirster and Fetid Fury, Scarbrand, Claws of Karnak, and some other stuff. So he tried his hardest. So shout out to Tom. Shout out to everyone in the Netherlands where the Dutch live. Great people. They always record their events on the Pumpen. Get it on the Pumpen. And there you go. So, what do we think about the events from this week? Well, very interesting little time. We started to see Cities of Sigmar be in the hands of some excellent players and start to feature. But it's got to say, it feels like it's Slaves to Darkness and Lumineth Realm Lords this week. Sure, not loads and loads of events, but can't argue with high armor saves, not immune, but like starting to ignore some mortal wounds at range for the Slaves to Darkness, as well as lots of bodies on the board and all those overlapping buffs, either a lot extra attacks or Nurgle Warrior Bricks, which I am not surprised to see doing well. I'm just surprised it's taken this long because they are very, very tough to shift. No Flesh Eater Courts yet, because that's definitely, still not in the production meta. And I would say this is still very early for Cities of Sigmar production meta stuff to be out as well, which is not a surprise. LRL armies are just adding in the Light of Altharion into their army, and they are good to go, and they are popping back up. People just realizing just how incredibly easy it is to Searing White Light stuff off the board, and Light of Altharion just stab stuff, which is unsurprising to see that on the table and doing really well. But I think we're all rocked, shook, taken aback by the Castigator meta, which we seem to be encompassing and seeing at the moment. And it does make sense. The math on that unit makes sense. Just seeing it on the board is crazy, and I'm constantly accused of having some Stormcast bias, even though the only army I've run for the past 3 events has been Stormcast, but whatever. But yes, Castigator's doing really well, is excellent, and it's fun to see. And maybe is it a little silly? Potentially. Could it potentially be very, very good? Yes. I mean, the MSU Castigators into one Searing White Light tech list is an immediate auto loss, so I find that fun as well. And there was some hot picks, you know, like someone with Nighthaunt doing well. Are Nighthaunt good? No, they need buffs inside of the game. A singular instance of them doing better isn't the case. Khorne, as I said, after the battle scroll, still absolutely at the top of tables and will continue to be so. There's loads of armies missing, of course, but I'm sure we'll see them in the fullness of time. Don't use 1 week's results to inform all of your decisions. We do this show every single week, and I do want to thank everyone on the Honest Wargamer Patreon who helped me create these stats and also, or just help support me so I can make this content. And thank you to the Twitch chat for having fun with me while I record it through the day. Hope you enjoy the video, and if you do so, please do like and subscribe and let people know about this. And thanks very much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.